This is the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another show we call Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like GoDaddy smacked the geek out of my websites. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about cool stuff that we do with Legos, all the South by Southwest action that I had, and a whole bunch more. We got a lot of great news, and we're brought to you today by our friends over at Dine.com. Of course, GoToMeeting, going over to GoToMeeting.com, and then, of course, Roku, which they just came out with the Roku 3. Really exciting. So let's get started for this week for Geek Smack. Where's that button? There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to the show we call Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you, and with news, with stories, with cool stuff that we do here in the Geek Studio. And something has changed here immensely in the Geek Studio. I was hoping to talk about it before I went to South by Southwest. It just didn't happen. Everything went to a culmination. And the new stuff that I was getting, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to show off this stuff, and it didn't happen. So here we are. We're on episode number 255 of Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you. Thank you very much for coming and geeking out with me, Jeffrey Powers. You can find me over on Twitter at Geekazine or Geekazine at gmail.com with the phone hotline of 608-205-4378. Few things we've got to show you before we go. First of all, I'm back from South by Southwest. Had a lot of fun, tons of video to put together. First of all, I want to thank you thank some friends. Wesley for helping me. He actually has a house there, and I stayed there for the week. So thank you very much. The folks over at Red Touch Media, who sponsored my trip out to South by Southwest. Thank you very much. Remember, go over to redtouchmedia.com/Geekazine. If you're a band, check it out. Because you could actually make, you know how iTunes takes 30%? Red Touch Media takes only 10%. And you can actually set up your storefront without any extra branding on it. It's your page. So if you go to whatever.com/merchandise, it's your stuff, it's your music, and you're saving yourself, making yourself a lot more money. So thanks to our friends over at Red Touch Media for all that South by Southwest action. Had a lot of fun. Of course, now I've got to put all the videos together, and that's what I've been doing hot and heavy this last week. We've got a few videos up, including that Gibson Lucy guitar. Amazing. If you're a guitar player, you need to find out the history of the Gibson Lucy. We also went to AMD, and we found out what was going on with AMD. My friend Ben Heckendorn was there modding out computers like mad crazy into cool things like hockey games and mystery machines, and that was pretty cool. And then just tons of stuff. So check it out over at Geekazine.com, all the South by Southwest action. And guess what? Once I'm done with the South by Southwest action, I'm going to NAB. And that's going to be pretty cool. I was a National Association of Broadcasters. We're going to find out about the cameras. We're going to find out about production. And maybe we'll take this up one more step. And because I'm always looking to take this up one more step here. Couple things. Let's get started. First of all, this desk, the Geek Bar has been retired. It's actually sitting in my kitchen. I'm going to plastic wrap it up, throw it in the basement, and then we got replaced by this nice little desk right here. It's by our friends over at Ergotron, and of course the videos we did for OmniMount. We did that, and a little program called juststand.org. Juststand.org. Do you know that you can actually help your health by standing for a couple hours instead of sitting? I was sitting in a chair over there for hours on end, and I've moved over here. I got the Mac and of course a new monitor right here, which I use for iPad 365. But the best part about this is this desk will go down, and this desk will go up. I could actually be doing it like this, and you see the lower end. That's probably not a good idea. But the whole point is I can move this desk to any height that I want, which right about here looks like a decent height. There we go. and you know it's click. It's not one of those electric ones or anything like that. You have to manually lift it up and go down, and that's pretty cool. So I get a little bit of weight lifting in as well as standing, so I can keep myself healthy and fit. And I've been doing a lot of standing lately at this desk, and it's pretty cool. First few days, you get all your aches and pains. Your hips will hurt, your knee will hurt, your legs will hurt. But then after a while, it just starts to become, they start to build up their muscles, and then you could stand here for hours at end. So, all right, well, let's keep going, because I got a few more things to talk about before we get into your tech smack. First of all, the badges. We've got a couple badges here. South by Southwest badge, of course. This year, actually, my name on the South by Southwest badge. And then, of course, my friends over at DYN, I did a couple interviews, and we went and saw a few cool roots rock type bands, earthy, crunchy bands, whatever you want to call them. Had a lot of fun there. And then, of course, this little badge right here. This actually was on my cameras. I had 2 cameras with me. And in order to do any type of video, you had to have this thing attached to your camera, which was a pain because my cameras are smaller than this. So and of course I talked about this on the daily South by Southwest journal here. So these things, I'm going to put this into here. These are going into my badges. And of course I guess the monitor is now facing the badge area. So I'm going to have to move the badge area. So of course South by Southwest, and then this VIP access badge right there. Right with the other one, CES. Of course, South by Southwest the previous year, Blog World, TechCrunch Disrupt, so on and so forth. And of course, I'm going to be adding NAB to it, and I'm going to be adding another event at the end of April called CA World, Computer Associates World, and that's going to be more techy of a conference, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I still don't know what to expect. I got to read up on it, so lots of cool stuff there. So. All right, well, one more thing before we go. I want to thank my friend Brian Solis for the book here. Let's show it up here. I tried to get to C.C. Chapman's book signing, but I couldn't get to it. Amazing Things Will Happen is that book. This one's called What the Future of Business by Brian Solis. And, of course, he signed it on the inside. He said, whoop, there's a piece of paper there. He signed it. He said, Jeffrey, WTF, Brian Solis. So... of course, I got to read that book now, which means I've got to read. It happens. I got to read. So anyway, we'll put that over here. Let's get into, well, where are we going? We'll put it right there. Let's get into your tech smack for this week. And of course, it's brought to you by our friends over at Dyn.com. And I talked to the guys over at Dyn.com while I was at South by Southwest, and they said, hey, we need to talk about not only for the enterprise people, but also the people, you and me, just regular Joes that want to do some regular things with our stuff. And one of the things we want to do, let me move this out of the way a little bit. One of those things we want to do is basically be able to access computers like webcams. Maybe we want to set up our DVRs. So when we're sitting in a hotel and we want to watch that latest episode of Big Bang Theory, we can actually connect up and do that. And that's what Dyn.com does for the consumer, is gives you an ability to create portals in which you can collect your content. Whether you need a direct portal to your home server that has maybe all your files on it, or maybe you have a webcam set up and you just want to see what's going on at the house and you just type it up and poof, there's a webcam. Or even setting up your DVR so you can watch those shows while you're on the road. That's what the consumer level goes. There's so many different levels to Dyn. It's crazy, but this is for us consumers, us regular Joes that need to do something pretty simple and have that access to our homes so we can see what's going on. And that's what Dyn.com is all about. Well, they do have enterprise solutions. They do have email solutions. They do have ways to make your websites go faster. They have tons of things that you can do. And you can get faster internet in many different ways, but get better internet and faster internet at the same time using Dyn for DNS. Simply visit Dyn.com, that's DYN.com /podcast30, and fill out the form. Or if you're already over at Dine.com and you're ready to check out with those cool services, all you have to do is use code podcast30. Podcast30 will get you 30% off that already low price. That's over at Dine.com, dyn.com/podcast30. All right, let's get into your tech news for today. Let me flip this over. And lots of, trying to remember how this all works. It's just, it's a little mind. Let me raise up the desk a little bit. There we go. There, got to click. There we go. We're set to go. This is actually kind of nice because I can keep my arms up a little bit higher and maybe do the chicken dance for you. I don't know. All right, let's start over at Computer World. Yeah, I know you don't want to see me do the chicken dance. Anyway, let's go over to computerworld.com. Google has paid off $40,000 to Pinkie Pie for partial hack of Chrome OS. Now, if you remember a few weeks ago when I last did the show, I talked about this this new process that Google wants to do. It was a contest basically to hack into Google Chrome. Well, this one person actually did hack into it about 2 weeks ago, and they called themselves Pinkie Pie. They did this and they hacked into Chrome, and of course, because of their hack, they were awarded $40,000. Now, Google was giving away $100,000, and it was called their 8th annual Pawn to Own contest, PWN2, the number 2, OWN contest. So started on March 7th. So congratulations to Pinkie Pie for hacking in. Of course, Google then learning a little bit about Chrome and where the vulnerabilities are so they can fix it. And they might even have a new employee that they're bringing them on. So if you want to check out more, we've got this article over at computerworld.com. It points to the Chromium blog where you can find out more. All right, the big word for South by Southwest was Samsung. In fact, I spent a lot of time at the Samsung Bloggers Lounge. They had a Samsung storefront where you could actually see this unicorn apocalypse and, of course, the new Samsungs. And then they came out with a Samsung, Galaxy 4 right after South by Southwest Interactive, which I'm not sure why they did that after the fact. But nonetheless, they came out with it. A lot of people are really starting to talk about Samsung. And now Samsung, it looks like it's going after Apple in more of a way than they have in the last year after all these lawsuits, as they're preparing their own type of wristwatch for the Android platform. Now, just so you know, there actually is a wristwatch out there already. I think it's like $350. I don't remember the name of the company, but there is somebody that's making an Android version wristwatch. So you can get some different wristwatches that you can use to pair to your phone to get messages. I had, I had a friend that had a wristwatch on, and they were looking at it to get their messages. So it's really simple. You send a text message, just like, oh, I got a text message back. Do I need to grab my phone right now, or can I wait? Yeah, I can wait. Or my phone's in the other room. Oh, I got a message from my folks. I better call them, find out what's going on. Things like that. So the wristwatch revolution has begun. Of course, I got rid of my wristwatch about 6 years ago when I got a smartphone because I didn't need it. Now I'm going to be getting it again. Go figure. That's the way it works. Businessweek.com for that article. Speaking of which, Mr. Robert Scoble put out a couple posts, and this one, he said, this is the last post I'm doing from my iPhone. And it's over at mondaynote.com. And basically, it's an article talking about losing the war of worlds with Apple. And the Apple's VP of marketing, Phil Schiller, sat down with Reuters, and talked about what they were doing over at Apple, and they were getting a little bit of criticism. What's Samsung doing that's kind of shaking those waves up? And things like, people like Robert Scoble, who were devout iPhone users, getting rid of their iPhone for a Samsung device because Android's working a lot better, because Apple refuses to take off Apple Maps and put back on Google Maps and do a little bit more that through Google rather than Apple because of their competition. Well, I don't know. Apple, I know that you want to control some of this. I know you want to take some of this in, but if you're not ready for these things, then don't put it on your device. I'll tell you something. I went to during South by Southwest. I did use Apple Maps, and I tried to get to a location. Actually, Johnny's Bike Shop, which is where Chevy had their Tweet House as an annual barbecue, a really cool event. And I kind of knew where it was, but it was farther away than where South by South generally culminates in. So I had to pull it up on map. I used Apple Maps, and it put me in the exact wrong location. I went to Google Maps afterwards, and it put me in the correct location, which is what I went to. If I would have went to that wrong location, I would have been about 5 to 10 blocks away from where I was supposed to be. Simple as that. Apple, you're not ready for maps. Safari, what are you doing with Safari? I hate Safari. I like Google Chrome. In fact, every time I call up on my iPhone or my iPad, I use Google Chrome over Safari. And if you give me that option to actually switch it over, I would. And now Samsung's coming out with these devices that are looking pretty nice. And a lot of people are saying, why do I need a $200 iPhone when I can get a Samsung S4 for the same price, a little bit larger screen, and a lot more action? Something to think about for Apple. And this article, if you want to read it, this is Robert Scoble's last post with his iPhone on this, and that's over at mondaynote.com. All right, for all you geeks over there, you Calvin and Hobs geeks, check this out. And you better check it out quick, because Bill Watterson does not license out Calvin and Hobs. So I'm guessing within the next 24 hours, this video is going to go down. And basically is this person, Adam Brown, decided to make we'll do a little animation. We'll just kind of skip through it here really quick. So Calvin, of course, getting attacked by Hobs. That's it. And if you want to see it, it's really simple, and maybe it won't come down or whatnot, but like I said, if Bill Watterson catches wind of that, I'm guessing that this video will be taken down. So get over there. We'll have the link in the show notes. Go over there, check this out. Let's move on from there. That's over on YouTube, of course. We're going over to torrentfreak.com. Rapid Share is a torrent, and they had like an unlimited amount of space for a lot of you people that wanted to be part of Rapid Share. Well, they decided, well, we're going to switch it back. We're gonna throttle you back. You're gonna just get, for the free account, 5 gigabytes of storage, and then of course there's premium accounts. And if you're over 5 gigabytes and you don't take your stuff off, we're just gonna delete it. So if you're using Rapid Share to hold your files in the cloud or whatever you want to call it, then you might want to check out and say, hey, wait a minute, let's see what the price plans are, and if I want to continue on with Rapid Share or move somewhere else. Of course, this is all because of the whole mega upload thing last year. Not the fact that they switched to 5 gigabytes. I think that's just a business model thing, a return on investment for them. But it's part of the whole cloud space and mega upload, and trying to put together a business model, because Rapid Share doesn't want to get taken down like mega upload does, or is, or has, or mega upload 2 Electric Boogaloo is going to. I don't know. But do you have your files on Rapid Share, or do you use a different type of service? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine, of course. Geekazine@gmail.com is the email address. torrentfreak.com for that article. All right, check this out. This actually was posted about a month ago, and I just saw it today on Reddit. It's the new patents for new types of advertising. Now think of it this way. You're sitting on your couch and you see a McDonald's commercial. And it says, stand up and shout McDonald's if you want to skip this commercial. What are you going to do? Are you going to kind of sit there and watch the minute and a half long commercial? Because I have a feeling commercials are going to get longer. And then, or will you stand up and say, McDonald's? And then, boom, commercial's over. Or how about this? Take the pickles and throw them onto the burger, and then you've got McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. Or making your own pizza, and hey, that looks pretty good. You want to buy that pizza right now? It'll be at your doorstep in 30 minutes. Things like that. That's where this article is all about. This is over on dualpixels.com, and they've got a whole bunch of advertising patents that you can do from navigation, like for instance, using a similar Connect type feature that you stand up and you move around to play a game, to find out about a program, or just have a little bit of fun while you're waiting for the commercial to get through. Or if you want to just completely skip the commercials, then you do something like, for instance, stand up and say, "I love McDonald's." You know, maybe someday they'll have like a webcam like this on here, so when you do that, it takes a picture. And next thing you know, you're on Facebook going, "Oh, I love McDonald's," or whatever whatever is on the commercial, so on and so forth. So, pretty interesting stuff, and new ways that their advertising dollars are going to affect you and how you watch TV. So if you want to check that out, go over to dualpixels.com. You should check it out, because this is the way of advertising in the next 5 to 10 years, and I think it's pretty cool. All right, let's move on from there. Let's go over to theverge.com. Reddit has launched a new original video. They called it "Explain It Like I Was 5," which pretty much has to be explained to me all the time. Things have to be explained to me that way all the time, because I don't think I ever passed 5. I'm still 5 times 8 plus 1. Do the math. Anyway, when I first looked at it, I thought the first thing that came up is the AT&T commercials, where the guy's sitting there and talking to all the kids, and the one kid goes, "I can wave my hand and I can wave my head." And me and Jennifer were watching on TV. We were fast forwarding commercial, and it's even funnier when you're fast forwarding through the commercial, because he's like 3 times faster, like that, and you're like, "Whoa, that's crazy." So anyway, but the AT&T commercial, there's another, the YouTube where the kids see things for the first time and then they comment on them. That's a popular YouTube video channel. And of course, now Reddit's doing this, except they're doing it a little bit reverse. So a kid says, "Well, I don't understand the Hoover Dam." And so the guy, from what I understand this video does, is the guy will then explain to the kids, to a 5th grader, what it is, and then put it on video, and then, of course, put it out there so I could even understand. Oh, yeah, so that's why we have Hoover Dam. That's pretty cool. So if you want to check out more on this, go over to theverge.com. Pretty cool stuff. And then, of course, check out Reddit's videos and tell me what you like. Do you like the show? Do you not like that show? Let me know. Geekazine is my Twitter handle, and of course, geekazine@gmail.com. All right, let's go over to gizmag.com for our Lego fix of the day. You know, I guess they've made Lego musicians before, but they've never made a Lego band. And this person decided, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the world's first robotic Lego band. And of course, he uses electronic instruments. One's on a keyboard, another one's on, it's a little device that changes pitch as you move your fingers around, except he has a touch-sensitive device in the Lego hand. And of course, a lot more. And I'm trying to get this person's name in the article here. He calls it the Toa Manta Band, and it's made up of Lego figures programmed to play different instruments. Hooks it up into a mixer. Mixer goes into the computer, and of course, music is made. Acito, I think is his name. Giuseppe Acito, A-C-I-T-O, that has put this together. So it's the world's first Lego band. They will be coming to a Coliseum near you, opening up for Justin Bieber, which you'll go for the Lego instrumentalist, because that'll be better than I don't know. Maybe you like Bieber. It's possible. He did a decent job on Saturday Night Live. I'll give him that. So, but anyway, if you want to read more on that, go over to gizmag.com. All right, going from there over to Android Community. Google is combining all of the chat services into a device called Babel. Now you're going, well, what kind of chat devices, chat services are we talking about? Well, they had Google Talk, Google Hangout, Google Voice, Google Chat, Gmail Chat, and Google Plus. So that'll all kind of get put in as Babel. I don't think Google Plus is going to get rebranded into Babel, but you never know. We'll see what happens there. So different ways to communicate. You will be communicating now. It'll be called Babel instead of chat. So then, of course, if you want to read more on this, we've got it linked up at androidcommunity.com. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea for Google? I think it's a good idea, and not have all these different items back and forth like Wave and what was the other one that Google shut down that was supposed to be so popular? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The whole point is check it out. Go over to androidcommunity.com. And that does bring us to the end of part 1 of Geek Smack. We're going to get you into part 2 of Geek Smack in a second here. And then, of course, I'm going to talk to you about GoDaddy, my trials and tribulations with the daddy, and where we stand right now. So we'll be right back after this. All right, and I forgot to put up the new ad thing, so we'll just move it there. Let's go. Let's because our friends, and actually let me do this while we're doing this. Our friends over at GoToMeeting, we like to thank them and welcome them back into GoToMeeting. I better not do that because I'll mess things up. So we'll get the lower third in for next week. But thanks to our friends over at GoToMeeting because they are back. And of course, we love GoToMeeting and we love what they stand for. And that's beliefs. You know, things like I believing successful teamwork is the foundation for successful business. Meeting face-to-face is one way that you can have a successful business because you are getting together, you're finding out what's going on, and you're working more efficiently. So, but it doesn't happen all the time. Clients, colleagues, coworkers spread out throughout the globe and on the go. In fact, you know, I was in Austin last week, for example. If I would have had to have a meeting, it would have had to have been on the go for me, which I did have a meeting, and it was on the go for me. So coming together, almost impossible. That's why I use GoToMeeting with HD Faces. It's the powerful and simple way to collaborate online from wherever you are, whenever you need to connect. You know, planned meetings to last-minute meetings. And there's many times I've had a last-minute meeting, and I've used GoToMeeting to facilitate that. With GoToMeeting, it just takes a click to share your screen and work with the documents in real time. And with a webcam, you can see everybody in HD video from your PC or your Mac. And it's just like meeting in person. And it's so easy to launch or join a meeting from anywhere using your computer, phone, or tablet. And you can even present from your iPad, which is really cool. I can start a meeting from the iPad, and then I can share it out and go from there. I can join a meeting from an iPhone or another smartphone and tablet, but I can start a meeting from iPad, and that's night and day when you really need to get a meeting done. So check it out. Go over to GoToMeeting, free for 30 days. Don't wait for this special offer. Visit GoToMeeting.com. GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free Now button. Enter in the promo code podcast. Remember that promo code podcast to get you 30 days for free for GoToMeeting, where meeting is believing. All right, let's move on from there. Let's go over to our friends over at Slashdot. Slashdot is where we go. And this guy gets 41 months in prison. Yay! Why did he get 41 months in prison? Well, you know, he leaked AT&T iPad's email addresses. He got, it was in 2010, he got over 114,000 email addresses for iPad owners who were subscribed to AT&T. And then once he put it out, of course, there was a big manhunt. They found him, and of course, he got arrested. And now he's charged. He's been charged 41 months in jail. So we'll see how that does it well for him. 41 months, that's 12, 24, 36. That's almost 4 years in prison. Good job. Anyway, I understand that hacking is one of those things that you do. But if you find a vulnerability, you tell the right person, you don't take an email list and throw it out there. And now he's going to pay for it. And I bet you once he gets out of jail 4 years later, somebody's going to say, hey, can you come work for us for $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year? That's usually how that works. So if you want to read more on that, go over to slashdot.org. Slashdot.org. All right, let's go over from there over to GigaOM. It's a sad day over at ARM. That's usually a lot of your cell phones have ARM processors in them. Your cable boxes might have an ARM processor in them. Anything that's there are computers that have ARM processors in them as well, but they're mostly in devices like that have a computer like in your car or something like that. Smaller chips. CEO of ARM, Warren East, he's been there as CEO for the last 12 years. He decided, okay, it's time to step down and see where ARM is going to go in their direction, and I'm going to go in a different direction and do something new and cool. Not to say that ARM's not cool, but you know, when you do it for 12 years, time to move on. So we wish Warren East a fond farewell as he goes into different ventures, and we're going to see what's going to happen with ARM, because you know, ARM, like I said, ARM's in different things like smartphones and cable boxes and stuff like that. It's not like an Intel Pentium processor or an AMD processor, which you probably hear of all the time, but it still has its functionality in computers today. So we'll see what happens with ARM and the direction that they're going to go from there. All right, let's move on from here. Let me take this ad off before I bring up this page. We're going over to PCMag.com, and we're going to be talking about robocallers. And don't you hate it when if you're on, especially if you're on a do not call list, and all of a sudden you get a phone call? It's like, hey, this is John, and I've got a great offer for you. All you have to do is call this number, and I can tell you more. That's a robocaller. If it's pre-recorded, it doesn't matter if it's on a tape or if it's on a computer, it's a robocall. And those are illegal. So the FCC has decided we're going to go after cell phone robocallers. So they're going to, they're cracking down on 2 firms that are accused of making more than 1 million unauthorized robocalls to wireless phones. Now, here is the thing. One of them was called Dialing Services, and the other one was called Richard Gilmore's Democratic Dialing. Now, here's the thing. In the United States, if a politician does a robocall, that's okay. But if somebody tries to sell you something and robocalls you, that's not okay. I don't know. I call that a little bit of a double standard right there. But you know, I guess even if you do say I'm not on the do not call list, a politician can call you to ask for your vote, which is kind of sad. But you know, that's neither here nor there. We won't get into the politics of that. But it's good to see the FCC going after robocallers, because I hate it when I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I get a phone call and it is a robocaller, especially when I'm on a do not call list. So check it out. It's over at PCMag.com for that article. Let's move over here to a new website called Grist List. I've never been on here. And this is a new section from what we're calling Pretty Geeky. Yeah, that was a pretty cheap graphic. If you're watching the video, just I'll spruce it up as we go. Here's Pretty Geeky for this week. Her name is Sarah Volz, V-O-L-Z, and she's been developing biofuel underneath her loft bed. She's got, you know, she built a loft bed, and then she works at a desk underneath her bed, and she's been taking algae and figuring out which algae can produce the best oil. And because of this, she's actually won an award and $100,000 for it. So, like I said, her name is Sarah Volz, and she's trying to understand how to create different types of biofuels so 10, 20 years from now, we are not dependent on, of course, fossil fuels. And she's done some pretty big leaps and bounds. For being 17 years old, she's got a few awards around her neck. So that is the Pretty Geeky. Congratulations to Sarah Volz. You win this week's Pretty Geeky award. All right, let's move on from there. Let's go over to USA Today. Twitter has, we talked about this before. Twitter was going to start a new concept called instant replay. So it's using, like if you've used Vine, you get that same idea where you can kind of get snippets of what's going on in somebody's life. Like, for instance, I could do a Vine right now of me standing in front of my video camera doing my podcast and then put it up on Vine, and then you get to see from my advantage. In this case, what they're going to do is they're going to take the NCAA tournament, the basketball games, and they're going to give you snippets. So you could be sitting in the office and you look at your phone and say, hey, Gonzaga just got an awesome three-pointer, and you press on that and you get to see it. And it'll be like, 2 or 3 seconds, so it'll pass through the network really quick so you can actually catch that one highlighted moment. So it's a new feature of Twitter. It's called Instant Replays, and they're going to be doing it during the NCAA tournament. So watch out for that. Especially if you're a big sports fan. Going over from there over to physics.org, I saw a lot of 3D printers. Well, I was at South by Southwest, and I ran into Bree Pettis, and I said hi. We talked for a couple minutes. They had this area where they were making little monsters and stuff like that, and there was even one person that was making records using a 3D printer, which was really cool. And I wish I didn't get that interview. I did get some other interviews over in that area, including a piano that I was playing that was made out of bananas. Yeah, bananas. Awesome, huh? But anyway, they're talking about 3D printers. We're getting bigger and better with 3D printers all the time. Phys.org has this article at phys.org, and they're talking about what's called nano 3D printing. And the picture right there is a race car, but it's at like a really small scale to the point where you would actually need a microscope or something like that to actually see what this is all about. Now, why do we need nano 3D printing? Well, many different reasons. We can put together intricate pieces and then build out from there and then make like one big piece. You can have these small little devices. Maybe someday we'll even 3D print a bone. A really small bone that you'd put back into your hand or your foot or something like that, and then all of a sudden you're walking around with 3D printer devices in your body. Maybe they make a car and they've got to make gears that are small enough that can work, but you can't use human hands to actually make it. There's lots of different reasons, and this is pretty interesting. They're printing all these 3D dimensionals. Using 2-photon lithography is the process. And pretty cool stuff. So if you want to check that all out, go over to phys.org, phys.org, for more information. All right, one more article, and then we're going to get you into the main thing about GoDaddy and my fun time with them in the last couple weeks. Funny or Die, of course, the Steve Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher is coming out. Funny or Die decides, hey, we're going to get in on this boat. So they decided to make this video called iSteve. And who did they use for iSteve? Justin Long. Do you know who Justin Long is? Hi, I'm a Mac. A little bit of irony there. So they put together this funny little video. I haven't watched it just yet, so I can't wait to see it. We'll see what happens with that. But of course, Funny or Die videos are always funny, or else they die. Hello, Funny or Die. That's how that all works. So we don't want to die. We don't want them to die because they do a good job. So check it out over. We've got this over at NewYorkTimes.com, and of course, go over to FunnyOrDie.com to check out iSteve. All right, that does it for the second half. We're going to get you into the main section. We're going to talk about GoDaddy, the problems I've been having in the last few weeks, and I'd like to thank everybody that has been sticking around Geekazine and keeping it going. But we'll be right back right after this. With over 700 channels to choose from, the Roku should be part of your entertainment center, and the price is great. You got channels from Amazon to Netflix to Hulu Plus, and of course you can add to your pay channels like HBO Go. You also have Disney for the kids. You have tons of ways to entertain people. Not only movies, but you can also have great games, such as Pac-Man, such as Galaga, and of course, Angry Birds. And that's all through the Roku entertainment system. Now let me show you one channel that's in particular near and dear to my heart, and that's over here, the techpodcast.com channel. If you go to the techpodcast.com channel, you go into the video and you go into tech news, you will find not only iPad 365, but Geekazine's special media feed, and then of course the show Geek Smack, all on your Roku right there. So check it out. Prices start at $50 to no more than $100 for all this great entertainment. Do that by going over to geekazine.com/Roku. That's geekazine.com/Roku to get yourself a Roku player and start watching movies, start watching content, and start playing Angry Birds over at geekazine.com/Roku. All right, welcome back. You know, it was about 3.5 weeks ago that I first noticed this problem. I actually was writing a post. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I hit save draft when the page came up. Error 101, page reset. Now, normally when I get an error, it's usually a 500 internal server error, which means that, you know, a lot of traffic is going through the websites because it is shared hosting, and I just have to hit the refresh page and everything's hunky and dory. However, in this case, it didn't happen. It actually happened for about 10 minutes, and before it started to go back to normal. But it was becoming problematic. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, so I figured, oh, they're just working on things. So I went to bed. It didn't resolve itself, and so I ended up having to call GoDaddy support. A really nice person, Megan. She answered the phone and she said, "Hey, you know what's going on?" I said, "Yeah, I was telling her the problem." She goes, "Well, let me take a look." She went back there. And she came back and she said, "Oh, we're having a problem with the node." And I go, "Well, what does that mean?" She goes, "Well, you know, the connection between the actual server and the database, they're not connecting, and so it's timing out. And so you're getting that." And she goes, "I'll just turn off that node. They'll get it fixed. You won't see it ever again after a couple hours." It's like, okay, perfect. So I was thinking, okay, get it fixed, moved on. Didn't happen. 2 days passed. And the problem was getting worse. I started twittering GoDaddy. I started calling GoDaddy. I had one guy actually say, "Well, you know, this is shared hosting, so this happens." And I'm thinking to myself, 10 minutes at a time does not happen on any web hosting service. Any web hosting service. In fact, you know, a lot of people would actually switch over from there. But you know, I've had a lot of business with GoDaddy, and they've been a sponsor from time to time. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, a couple days we'll get this resolved. It didn't happen. In fact, my traffic went down. Google sent me letters saying that, hey, we can't access your information, which means that they stopped spidering my websites for a while because they kept getting errors. Well, up until about 3 or 4 days ago, it got really bad. In fact, my South by Southwest, where I would see a 30% spike in my traffic for being at a live event, didn't happen. In fact, I got less numbers than I normally do on my regular traffic. So I finally, after South by Southwest, I got home and I called GoDaddy. Last-ditch effort, because you know, I really don't want to spend hundreds of dollars to move from GoDaddy to somewhere else. And I got a supervisor after everybody kept telling me, "Oh, we don't do supervisors at GoDaddy anymore." But I got a supervisor after a little bit of persistence, and I did talk to him, and he said, "We're going to get this going." And he did something that nobody ever did. And he gave me a case number. Amazing. A case number. Wait, I can reference this? People actually write notes on this? That's amazing. The problem actually still is happening. A lot less than before. Last night it went down for a few minutes. So I'm guessing that they're still trying to work some kinks out. I emailed them. I haven't heard back from them just yet. But as of today, the site looks like it's running up to normalcy. But I'm giving, for their service and their support, I am giving them 2 stars on that. Because, one, a lot of them couldn't answer my issue. 2, some of them made up answers. "Oh, that's shared hosting, so that just happens that way." And only 2 people were able to address the problem. Fixing the problem, well, that's out of their hands. They have a server team that's supposed to be doing that, and they didn't do a good job. So we'll see what happens, and I will call them back if this continues, and I'll say, "Hey, move me somewhere else, because I can't afford to continue to have all this downtime." I lost a lot of traffic this last week for South by Southwest. It's not going to happen again. So we'll see what happens, and And if I do have to spend a couple $100 to move my domains and my hosting, I will do it. And just give them one more chance. And maybe I shouldn't even give them the one more chance. What do you think? Would you give them one more chance? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that does it for this episode of Geek Smack. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a little bit. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. You can also call me on the hotline at 608-205-4378. We will be back next week. The schedule goes, we'll be back next week. It'll be Easter weekend the following, and then we'll 2 more shows, and then we'll be out at NAB, and we'll see if I can actually do a Geek Smack out at NAB, which I need to start doing on the road shows once again. So, all right, we'll see you then. Until then, you guys geek out, be geeks, and then we'll see you next week. So take care. I think I was trying one more, and I realized, that's too many phrases, catchphrases. So just geek out. Take care.